Blackmouth, of Colorado by George Parsons Lathrop. Who is Blackmouth? Well, that's hard to say. Mebbe he might told you, t'other day, if you'd been here. Now, he's gone away. Come to think on, wouldn't been no use if you'd called here earlier. His excuse always was, whenever folks would ask him where he hailed from, and would tease and task him. What you suppose? He just said, I don't know. That was truth. He came here long ago. But, before that, he'd been born somewhere. The conundrum started first, right there. Little shaver. Afore he knew his name or the place from whereabouts he came, on a wagon train the Apaches caught him. Killed the old folks, but this cuss they brought him safe away from fire and knife and arrows. Sothin, bout him must have touched their marrows. They was merciful, treated him real good, brought him up to man's age well's they could. Now, you believe me, that there likely lad, for all they used him so, went to the bad. Leastways left the red men, that he knew, and come to look for folks like me and you, gol darned white folks that he never saw. Queerest thing was, though he loved a squaw, was on her account he planned escape, shook the Apaches, and took up red tape with the U.S. government arter a while. Though, they do say government may be vile, meanin', treacherous and deceiving. Well, I ain't sayin' our government is a cell. Boca Negra, Spanish term, I've heard stands for Blackmouth. Now this curious bird, known as Boca Negra, gave his life most for others. First, he saved his wife. Her I spoke of. Nothin' but a squaw. You might wonder by what sort of law he, a white man born, should come to love her. But was somehow so, he did discover beauty in her, of the holding kind. Some men love the light, and some the shade. Round that little Indian girl there played soft and shadowy tremblings, like the dark under trees. Yet now and then a spark, quick, as a firefly, flashing from her eyes, made you think of summer midnight skies. She was faithful, too, like midnight stars. As for Blackmouth, if you'd seen the scars made by wounds he suffered for her sake, you'd have called him true, and no mistake. Growin' up a man, he scarcely met other white folks, and his heart was set on this red girl. Yet he said, we'll wait. You must never be my wedded mate till we reach the white man's country. There, everything that's done is fair and square. Patiently they stayed, throw, trust or doubt, till towards Colorado he could scout some safe track. He told her, you go first. All my joy goes with you. That's the worst. But I wait, to guard or hide the trail. Indians caught him. And they gave him hail, cut and tortured him, till he was bleeding. Yet they found that still they weren't succeeding. Where's that squaw? They asked. We'll have her blood. Either that, or grind you into mud. Pick your eyes out, too, if you can't see where she's gone to. Which, now, shall it be? Tell us where she's hid. I'll show the way, Blackmouth says. And leads toward dawn of day, till they come straight out beside the brink of a precipice that seems to sink into everlasting gulfs below. Loose me, Blackmouth tells 'em, but go slow. Then they loosed him. And, with one swift leap, Blackmouth swooped right down into the deep. Jumped out into space beyond the edge, while the Apaches cowered along the ledge. 700 feet, they say. That's guff. 70 foot, I tell you, 'bout enough. Indians called him a dead antelope, but they couldn't touch the bramble slope where he, bruised and stabbed, crawled under brush. Their hand was beat hollow. He held a flush. Day and night he limped or crawled along. Winds blew hot, yet sang to him a song. So he told me, once, that gave him hope. Every time he saw a shadow grope down the hillsides, from a flying cloud, something touched his heart that made him proud. Seemed to him he saw her dusky face watching over him, from place to place. Every time the dry leaves rustled near, seemed to him she whispered, have no fear. So at last he found her. They were married. But, from those days on, he always carried marks of madness. Actually, yes. Trusted the good faith of these U.S. Indian hate and deviltry he braved. And scores of white men's lives he saved. Just for that, his name should be engraved. But it won't be. U.S. government dreads men who are taller and politicians' heads. All the while, his wife, though half despised by the frontier folks that civilized and converted her, served by his side, helping faithfully, until she died. Left alone, he lay awake o' nights, thinkin' what they'd both done for the whites. Then he thought of her, and Indian people. Tryin' to measure, by the church's steeple, just how Christian our great nation's been toward those native tribes so full of sin. When he counted all the wrongs we've done to the wild men of the setting sun, seemed to him the government wa'n't quite fair. When its notes came due, it wa'n't right there. U.S. government promised Indians lots, but at last it closed accounts with shots. Mouth was black, perhaps, but he was white. Calling government black don't seem polite. Yet I'll swear, its actions wouldn't show, 'longside Blackmouth's better 'n soot with snow. Yes, sir, Blackmouth took the other side. Honestly, for years and years he tried getting justice for the Indians. He, risking life and limb for you and me. He, the man who proved his good intent by his deeds, and plainly showed he meant he would die for us, turned round and said, "White men have been saved. Now, save the red." But it didn't pan out. No one would hark. "Let the prairie dogs and Blackmouth bark," said our folks. And, no, he wa'n't resigned, but concluded he had missed his find. Where's Blackmouth? That I can't decide. Red and white men, both, he tried to serve, but I guess, at last, he lost his nerve. Kind-o' tired out. See? He had his pride. Gave his life for others, far as he could, hoping it would do 'em some small good. Didn't seem to be much use. And so, well, you see that man, dropped in the snow, where the crowd is. Suicide, they say. Looks as though he had quit work to stay. Bullet in the breast. His body's there, but poor Blackmouth's gone. I don't know where.